of times when people hear about my association, they get triggered by the word African American, but I have to remind them, the NAACP, was founded by blacks and whites. The Color Speedway Association, it's founded by blacks and whites. So it's about the diversity of ideas of the people who get it and understand what true unity and progress is supposed to look like, coming with those people and creating what you need to create to provide opportunities for others. With my experience, there's a lot of times where I was overlooked, right? I was having successful events, and just because there was a cultural misunderstanding on my events based on what's traditional in motorsports, a lot of the racetrack owners didn't want my events in their facilities. So I had an opportunity with one particular organization. I was able to prove myself and have my experience. And then from there, I leveraged that individual. Hey, you know this guy that runs that track. Give him a call and tell him that, my event is good. And it wound up traveling and becoming a national thing. And I worked with Universal Pictures in the Fast and the Furious brand. And so there's a mentality that you have to have that's not going to allow anything to stop you.
The term of code switching that does still exist. And I do think that as we're into this DE&I phase, as we are trying to change, right? We're trying to be more accepting and stuff. I think we have if we're all going to do it, we all have to recognize that it does exist. When I started at Ford Motor Company and I wore an afro, I was told to go get my hair done. Okay, so that's code switching, okay? So when you say, bring your authentic self, I still can't. If I'm going out for business, there's a certain way I'm going to go because I know my hair or something is going to become that discussion instead of you hearing the solution that I'm bringing.
You bring the professionalism, you talk how you need to talk until they understand the work that you do. And then they realize that you're doing good work. And then you get to start to break down those barriers and those walls a little bit. Switch your words a little bit, maybe one day you wear a hat to work, a Yankee, there's different things. But what I see in the corporate sense now is that people are starting to be more accepting of individuals for who they are.
I had family members say, just put your head down and work hard. That was the worst piece of advice I ever got because I didn't pay attention to those relationships, didn't pay attention. I sat at my desk and had lunch instead of going out for lunch, building those connections.
But I think a lot of things started to change for me when I started taking networking seriously. When I started getting in those environments, in those rooms with people who I wanted to be like. May not be the same industry, but if you own your own company, you have to get around people that own their own company. And then you can get ideas and pull from it. And then what starts to happen is now you start to get these mentors, right? Now you start to get to listen to these stories. But there's a lot of times through my journey where, I was doing the work and I was pushing and I was just like, man, if I just had somebody I could talk to. But I was eating lunch by myself. I was eating dinner by myself. I wasn't going to the networking events.
You have a mentor. I believe it's a two-way street. It has to be someone who is open to telling you about yourself, and you have to be open enough to receive that.
It can help you develop those interpersonal skills. It could help you learn how to prioritize. It could help you really enhance those communication skills that you have. But as important, it could help you explore where your interests are. It's almost as important as the education piece. Passion, individual exploration allows you to be discovered and have those mentors that could help you move along.
And I actually talk to my 8-year-old about diversity a lot. And he's very picky on what he likes to eat. And we always talk about, he likes these club crackers, right? He's like, oh, my favorite crackers. I was like, how do you know? It's the only one that you eat. I was like, how do you know? You try Oreo, you try this. So you have to look at your business the same way, is that, you have to have a team that is very diverse because it brings in new perspectives and it brings in new ideas. So when it comes to products, you can understand, oh, well, maybe this is where the transition is happening. Then when it comes to social media, you can learn how to properly market to a demographic that you're trying to capture without looking crazy. And there's a lot of companies that aren't diverse in their makeup, and try to do diverse marketing, and they have failed miserably, and it looks crazy, and I'm sure everybody here knows at least one company, I won't name any. Being diverse is super important, because there's gonna be a point where people who aren't open and diverse to thoughts, you will be the minority, and you're not gonna like how it feels, because nobody's gonna want to deal with you, your company, or your products anymore. So it's very important to, and when we talk about diversity, yes, we're all people of color up here, but it's women, it's men, green, yellow, young, old. It's whatever is not the status quo is what diversity is.